I think we got everyone. Well, people are kind of coming in from before, but um, yeah, this is awesome. So if you guys can hear me, sorry for those technical difficulties, but hopefully this will work. The kind of the the backwards way to do it. Um, but I'm really excited for you guys to kind of listen to what Taj is going to say today. I met Taj maybe, man, what, 6, 7 months ago, and we just met around this whole trying to transition and figure out, how we can help the former athlete community. I know there's a few people on here who have that same passion, and so I'm really excited for what you're doing. I know you're actually working with people one-on-one and kind of working with them and taking them through this transition, trying to get them ready for their life after sports. So I'm excited to have you kind of share with us today and kind of continue this intention that we have for the week around confidence.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you having me on, man. For everybody listening, as Matt said, my name is Taj Deshaun Johnson. I go by Taj Deshaun. Just like Matt, I work one-on-one with former athletes, basically just helping them figure out what they want to do with their lives post-sports, providing them with resources, connecting them with mentors, which I know that's something that Matt is really big on, just helping them get where they want to go, being a light at the end of the tunnel, And Matt wanted me to come on today to talk about confidence. Matt, just so you know, I watched the recording of the call you did on Monday talking about confidence, and just wow, man, just great stuff. I can see why you're dedicating an entire week to this. I think it's obviously an important topic, but I think after watching your recording from Monday, it's more important than I may have realized, and I think that's probably the case for a lot of people. I think you did a really good job of breaking it down and going into some of the reasons why it's important and how it applies to athletic mindset. So I took some notes, not for what I wanted to say. I feel like I'm just going to be speaking from the heart, but I took some notes based off some of the things that you were talking about, and I figured it would be beneficial for anyone listening if I just shared my personal experience before, during, and after my football career, how confidence and even sometimes being overconfident, kind of played into my life and held me back a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just kind of give my 2 cents and just build off some of the things that you've already covered on Monday that really stood out to me. So I left the group just because there was an echo, but I can hear you on the phone. So just feel free to stop me or interrupt me at any time. Okay, Matt?
No worries.
All right. So the first thing, I love what you said about how confidence is probably the biggest thing that's lost for us as athletes when we're done playing. Obviously, we've all heard about athletic identity before, and, we've experienced that loss of self. But when I really took a closer look at it, which I didn't realize until I watched the video, is that loss that we're talking about is really that loss of confidence. Obviously, it's like, yeah, who am I outside of the jersey? But there's also a factor of I don't have this confidence, not just in my sport, I don't have that confidence in life anymore. And I think that when we're not confident, it's easy for us to feel exposed. And what I mean by that is, if you think about it, anytime that we didn't feel confident, no matter what sport you played, if you think back to a time when you were wearing the jersey and you didn't feel confident, it was usually because we were failing at something in front of a crowd, right? Like if you just got dunked on, it's hard for you to feel confident in that moment, right? I played DB, so if someone scored a touchdown on me or if someone juked me out of my cleats, it's really hard for me to feel confident in that moment. And the thing about that is it's not just happening in a vacuum, it's happening in front of, potentially thousands of people when this is going on, right? And I think we're so accustomed to our confidence being tied to performance or lack of performance, or missing an assignment or something like that. But my point is, usually our confidence is based on something external. We've attached it to something outside of ourselves. And so when our careers are over, we don't really have anything to be confident about because we're losing that external piece, that thing that our confidence was tied to. And I thought of this last night. It's kind of like this analogy, almost like when you're done, you're just repeatedly getting dunked on by life every day. And you wake up, chances are you don't have a job lined up. Chances are you don't know what kind of job you want, or you're in a job and it sucks and you don't know what your next move is going to be. And life is just, you wake up to just, all right, here we go. Life is going to dunk on me again today, you know? And it can seem like life is getting the best of you because you don't know how to dunk on life yet. You don't even know how to play defense. You don't even know how to stop this from happening. And I think it's really important for us, which is another thing that I love that you touched on in your video. It's important for us to learn how to self-generate that confidence, even if it's not tied to anything. Like, you know, I hate to keep going back to this analogy, but this is just what I was constantly thinking of when I watched your video. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're never going to stop life from dunking on you if you don't have the confidence to say, I can prevent this, and I can take that ball down the court, right? So you talked about how athletes have this confidence that we tend to overlook in our ability to learn new things, right? And the main thing that we're trying to learn post-sports is what to do with the rest of our lives. Like, we're trying to learn something new. We just don't necessarily know what it is we're trying to learn quite yet. And since this is a time when we may be trying a bunch of different things, just kind of tasting things or operating from a place of trial and error until we do find that thing, I think it's important to remain confident in our ability to be able to figure things out and remain patient throughout the process, like you said. So if you're trying something and it's not working, then remain confident that you will figure out what that thing is, or at least, you know, you may have to have a real talk with yourself and be confident in the fact that, okay, it may not be working yet, but if this is something that I really want to do, this is a life that I see for myself, I have to stay confident, even though I'm not good at it right now or I'm not seeing the results. And so now I will say, I don't think trial and error is always the best approach. And I know you would agree with me on that. And because I heard you talk a lot about clarity, which is something, you know, that I'm big on as well. So I think the best thing you can do is not take the trial and error approach like Matt and I did. The reason that Matt and I do all the things we do to help former athletes is because we know how long it took us to find our way. And if we can have one conversation or a series of conversations, or like Matt is doing these morning calls, having these morning calls to help someone, you know, what took us years to be able to do that in a matter of weeks or months, like, that means everything, right? Yeah. So yeah, I don't think trial and error is the best approach. Of course, the best thing you can do is be clear, have a game plan, so to speak, about exactly what you want from life and how you want to get there, because that gives you ultimate confidence. If you have a clear vision that you reverse engineered for how your life is going to look 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, you have ultimate confidence no matter what happens to you throughout that process. So I think it just comes down to, you know, knowing things are a little uncertain right now, but having the confidence that you will figure it out. You know, you always have, you always will. It's like it's like being a freshman all over again, essentially. You're a freshman, we're freshmen, all of us, you know, we're freshmen in life right now. There's a lot of people who are doing things that we may aspire to do who are a lot better than us, just like older players who are better on the team or whatever. And there's a lot of things we have to learn. We still have to learn, not necessarily a team's playbook, but we have to learn a lot about our playbook, about who we are, who we want to be out in life. For me personally, my confidence came back when I started believing in what I was doing, because I didn't have that at first. You know, when I found a path for myself, which is what I'm doing now, and it's beyond helping athletes, right? My path and Matt's path, I don't want to speak for you, Matt, but I just feel like you and I are on this path where, yes, we're working with athletes, but when you boil it down, our path is helping and uplifting people, right? And that manifests for people in different ways. For you and I, it just so happens to be working with former athletes. But my point is, my confidence came back when I started believing in what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I think that's what we should all aspire to find. One thing that I've seen is a lot of former athletes are so desperate to get back to a place where they can have the glory, where they can be top dog again, that they just chase something that's either easy or they chase something for the wrong reasons, meaning it gives them money or status. And if you're chasing something for that reason, chances are you're not going to get either one of those. So my first job out of college was, well, there's a few other internships and stuff before that, but my first real job out of college was I was doing sales for Xerox. So I have no interest and copy machines. I was selling copy machines and IT services. The only reason sounds exciting, right? Yeah. So the only reason I signed up for that job was, because I wanted to make some money. That was it. That's where it started. That's where it ended. And as you can imagine, I wasn't good at it. And I couldn't figure out why I wasn't any good. I would study all the scripts. I would learn the products inside and out. I would, work on my confidence going into places. But I couldn't be confident because I knew at the core I had no interest in anything that I was talking about. And I know a lot of people listening either have been or are in that position right now where you're trying to do a job or you're trying to, fill some shoes that you genuinely could care less about. Like, you would probably be excited and say, let you go tomorrow. Like, thank God I don't have to go back in there again, right? And you start to get to this point where it's like, I don't want to do things that I don't believe in. It's like, Matt, you play basketball, I play football. If someone tried to make us into professional bowlers, we probably wouldn't be too excited about that. So it's almost like we leave our sport and then you end up going into something. You're making yourself a professional bowler, so to speak, when that's not what you really want to do, but you're doing it because you think it'll, I don't know, make your parents happy or bring you some income or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So when I was at that job, and I'll kind of quickly walk through this, man. I know we're on a time limit, but when I was at that job, my overall confidence level was probably at a 2. And from there, I realized that I wanted to work with people. So I started getting into recruiting. I worked at the Art Institute in Hollywood and career services, working with young creative students, basically just starting to work closer and closer with people. And I started getting promotions and job opportunities because I was focused on doing things that were pouring into me and pouring into others and doing things that made me feel fulfilled. So when I started working with athletes, which was kind of a natural, stepping stone for me, a transition for something that I wanted to do, it was easy. My confidence was at an all-time high. No one wanted to work with me at first, but I remained confident because I knew that this was something that I experienced firsthand. And also I knew that this was something that I was willing to stick with no matter how long it took for me to actually start applying it and working with people. And you talked on Monday, Matt, about creating a roadmap, right? I loved the time that you spent talking about this. You talked about, what's going to make you happy. And something that I constantly try to get across is thinking bigger, like I said earlier, thinking bigger than just your job title, not focusing so much on what it is that you want to do, but thinking about how you want to live. I don't care if you have to actually suggest writing it out, spending some time on this, which I think we could all do, myself included. Spend a little bit more time, even if you have to put time on your calendar and write out, this is what I want my life to look like in 5, 10, or 15 years. Once again, not what is my job title, not what am I doing, so to speak. What do people know me? What's on my business card? Okay, but what am I actually doing day to day? What does my life look like? For me, I knew that I wasn't necessarily someone who was going to be happy sitting in a cubicle for the next 50 years of my life. I like to move around. I like to be outside. My bosses used to always be looking for me when I was at a job because I would get up and walk outside every 20 minutes. I play football. I need some sunlight. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't sit here under these lights. I'm going to go crazy. I got to get up and walk around. So that's what I mean by that. I suggest writing it out. I suggest spending some time thinking about what your day-to-day looks like, meaning thinking bigger than actually, what your job is, but how your life looks, where you want to live, how you want to be making an impact on people, all stuff like that, all important questions.
Totally.
I had a guy, I'm sorry, man, are we good on time?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, I just want to share one last thing. I had a guy that I was working with a few weeks ago. He's in a much better place now, but he's a former football player, really having a hard time figuring out what he wanted to do. And I asked him what he wanted, and he said he wants to be a lawyer. And I said, okay, cool. Tell me more about that. And he said he's watched a lot of movies, where he thought being a lawyer would be cool. And I wasn't trying to discourage this guy, but this kind of brings my point full circle. I asked him, what is the next, 4 or 5 years look like with you becoming a lawyer and then actually being a lawyer? Like, what are the steps that you think you need to do to get there? Like, how much research have you done on this? He hasn't done any research. He doesn't necessarily know. He's like, yeah, well, I guess I'll have to go to school. And I wasn't trying to discourage this guy. I just really wanted him to think. I would be more than happy to help him become a lawyer. I know former athletes who are lawyers who I could put him in touch with. I would have been more than happy to help him execute that plan. I just wanted him to really think, because it's easy to throw something out there because the title sounds good. People, when you say you're a lawyer, people are like, oh, wow, you must be doing pretty well for yourself. But I wanted him to think about what that looks like. And he hadn't fully thought it through. He saw lawyers on TV. He wanted to wear a cool suit and be rich, basically. But we started talking about going to law school, what that actually looks like. How confident would he be going to law school and sticking it out if the only reason he was going there was because he thought it looked cool on TV, right? So that's what I mean. Now he wants to be a personal trainer. And, you know this, Matt, how many former athletes will tell us they want to be personal trainers. So we got to be careful with that one too, because it's like maybe they just want to do that because it's a way for them to stay around their sport. But is this actually the lifestyle they want? But we talked about that for him. Being a personal trainer is a lifestyle he wants. He loves being in the gym. He's a very outgoing guy, loves working with people. He's already been training kids back home, at a local gym. So it's just kind of a natural fit for him and the type of lifestyle he wants to build. So, big change from being a lawyer to being a personal trainer. And he's actually gotten certified and he's actually doing it. But see, that's what I mean about being intentional, because that guy could have very well started applying for law school if he didn't fully think about what his life was actually going to look like if he were to do that, and doing it for all the wrong reasons, But yeah, it's like, this is the last example. It's like if someone told us they want to be a college athlete, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Why do you want to do that? And you're like, yeah, I want to be on ESPN and wear a cool uniform. And you're like, man, do you know how much work goes into being a college athlete? You think you're just going to show up and be on ESPN? So, same thing.
Let alone knowing what sport you're going to be playing. If
exactly.
I want to be a college athlete, and it's like, all right, I mean, we got gymnasts, hockey players, synchronized swimmers, golfers, football players on here, swimmers. Like, imagine if you had to play a different sport and you had to commit the time that you did to your sport. Like, you would it would be crazy. You would be so miserable.
Exactly. That's it. But yeah, man, I feel like, I don't know if you want to ask any questions or anything, but for me, after watching your video, I think you said everything perfectly. I just wanted to come on and share my experience. But that's pretty much all I had to say, man. Just my whole thing, just to sum it up, is the confidence has to come from within, because there's not anything to attach it to externally. And that's a lesson for the rest of our lives, to keep that confidence coming from within, because it starts internally first and then it plays out. And once we have clarity around what it is that we actually want to do for the right reasons, once we fully audited ourselves about why I want to do this thing, and then we, like you said, connect with mentors, people who are already doing it, figure out how you can walk in their footsteps and they can help uplift you, and they can take you under their wing and show you how to do it, and you keep that self-generated confidence with you the entire time. That's what makes us unstoppable, man. So yeah, that's all I had to say about it.
So if anyone has any questions, throw them up on here. I'm going to shoot you with one first, Taj, to kind of keep this going.
Okay.
You talked about being able to dunk on life, because you just been getting dunked on. Like, how did you finally realize, like, for the first time, or how do you know, like, all of a sudden, like, all right, I'm getting ready to dunk on life, or like I'm getting, to the point where we're battling. It's no longer just getting dominated by life.
Mm-hmm. So for me personally, it was, I caught a vision for myself. And I know you have that same vision of what everything we're doing right now could turn into and how many people we could help, right? So I think it's something that you become obsessed with. The same way you went to sleep studying your playbook, or you know how it is, you have dreams about running plays, but like how you start to visualize yourself before the game about things you're going to do. When it becomes that for you, and whatever this new field, whatever this new venture you choose to go on is, when it becomes that's how you know you're at that point, because you're thinking about it, you're taking steps. No one is making you do it. You're finding yourselves, and there's going to be doubt too, of course. Just like, when a big game's coming up, you may doubt yourself for a second, but you know that you found it, and you know that you're making strides, and you're dunking on life, so to speak, when the doubt doesn't stop you from doing what you need to do anyway, and you're bouncing back to it. Like, you'll catch yourself like, man, let me shake this off. Let me get back to work and do this thing that I set out to do. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's been my experience.
Totally. I love that. And I mean, I guess just going forward for the rest of the week, if you want to set some type of way that we can continue to enhance and grow our confidence, and we'll kind of end it there.
Yeah, I think a good exercise, and you might have recommended this too in your first video for confidence, is to spend some time. I recommend today, like if you have some time as soon as we get off this call, take 5 or 10 minutes to yourself. You know, I recommend doing it by hand instead of typing it into your phone or whatever, just because I think it's more personal. But take a sheet of paper and just start with 5 years, I think that's a good goal. 5 or 10 years, write it out, write the date that it's going to be 5 or 10 years from now, and then just write out what you want your life to look like. If you're having trouble with that, just don't think about necessarily career as much, but think about the structure of your life. Like, don't hold yourself back. Don't think like, oh, I want to work from home, or I want to have my own business, but I don't know if I can do that. Like, why would you limit yourself? We never limited ourselves through sports, so don't do that right now through this exercise. And I think, based on the point that you made on Monday, Matt, I think if we can have that clear picture, have that clarity around what we're doing, then the confidence is just kind of automatic at that point, because we're giving ourselves the playbook, and all we got to do is chip away at it, study the playbook, and execute.
Love it. Lou, you can follow Todd. What's the best way to follow you?
Honestly, LinkedIn. I'm most active on LinkedIn. So it's Taj Deshaun. Taj, T-A-J, like the Taj Mahal. Deshaun is D-A-S-H-A-U-N. You can probably see my name in the comments down there anyway if you want to look it up. TajDeshaun.com is my website. Those are probably the best two places to get in touch with me or shoot me a message.
Yeah, I'll connect you guys on LinkedIn, Lou. We got another question from my buddy Evan. How do you maintain confidence when your career or progress is determined by people's negative opinions? Examples being entertainment, coaching, sales, etc.
So it sounds like, help me out with this, Matt. Is Evan saying that his decision to take this potential route is being influenced by other people? Is that what he means by that?
No, like he I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, but Evan loves what he does. He's in like film, and he's saying, you know, when your progress in your career is determined by other people and their outlook on your performance, and it tends to be negative, how do you kind of keep your confidence?
Oh, got it. Okay, that's a great question right there. I love that. I would say for Evan to start doing something on his own. That way he has something on the back burner. So if he's in film, start working on independent film projects. Obviously keep putting your all into wherever it is that you're working right now. But I think it's always helpful and beneficial for the future if you're working on your own projects, because that when people see you're doing your own thing and taking initiative, that just opens up doors for you anyway. Like, you know, I'm getting job offers left and right because of what I'm doing. You know, Matt is getting job offers because of the things he's doing because we took initiative and started something independently while we were, you know, still working our jobs to pay bills, of course. Another thing I would say is if Evan's in an environment where, you know, his boss is giving him negative feedback and he's honestly feeling like he's doing the best he could and that boss is not helping him grow, then look for another place. Look for somewhere else to go. You know, start putting feelers out there and look for another job. But the most important thing I'd say is work on your own thing independently. And then, of course, try to get out of there if you feel like it's holding you back or draining your energy. Try to find yourself a better fit. Yeah.
I know maybe a little bit more about the film industry. Like, I feel like it really tends to be negative. Like it's a really difficult industry to get into. It's not like sales where you can like get a sales job. Like, you need to know someone who knows someone to like get a good job. And so usually when you get in there, like, I mean, we all had crazy coaches, like but the negative implications are like to another degree where like you can never do anything right. And I feel like that's just like an industry standard to a point. And so if the industry you're in almost is constantly disapproving of like your best work, I like your comment about like work on something that fills you up, like do your own stuff on the side. I guess, I don't know, like what would you, I guess if you were gonna do, if you were like, dude, it's just part of it, like how would you mentally kind of shift those types of responses that you're getting?
I see what you mean. I think it's almost like, I would tell Evan, you almost don't have a choice but to stay positive and to keep yourself motivated and to stay confident. And I know it sounds like, what do you mean I don't have a choice? But it's true. Like, it's either you let it influence you and affect you doing your work, or you tune it out and continue to make your voice the loudest voice in your head at all times. And as long as he's being consistent with his work and continuing to do the work despite all the negativity, nothing but good things can happen, right? To me, it's black and white. It's really simple. It's either you allow the negativity to throw you off your path and you shut down and you stop doing quality work, or you continue to rise above it, keep working on your own projects, keep looking for other opportunities if they're available, if you can find some, and keep putting your best foot forward. And I love what you said, Matt, about a coach. We've all had terrible coaches. I had so many coaches who drain my energy, and I'm speaking firsthand because I let them affect me. I let them get in my head and mess with my confidence.
Yeah.
Right. So if I could go back in time, I would just tune that person out and continue. I'd be like, okay, this person's not trying to help me. They're trying to tear me down. So I have to help myself. People are going to, that's just life, right? People are going to try to tear you down, but you got to make sure you don't tear yourself down.
Yeah. You see the comments on here right now. You're never stuck at any job. Going through this right now. Have the confidence to change your path. It's like we got a good group of people working here.
Yes, it sounds like it, man. This is such a great idea, man. I think this is going to be, I mean, I know what are you, like 2 or 3 weeks into this right now?
This is the second week. Yeah.
This is going to be huge, man. I'm actually going to join and pay for the monthly year. I'm serious, man, because I don't know if I can make all the calls, but just out of respect for what you're doing, I want to be like, an actual part of this, because I think it's one of those things where it's like, how has no one thought of this before? But you're the perfect person to think of this and to be doing it. So this is dope, man. This is inspiring right now. Like, I'm fired up for my day.
Good,
I'm ready to go. I could run through a brick wall right now, man. After you just read me back those confidence, I'm like, yes. Those comments you just read off, I'm like, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I needed to hear those too,
Right. Yeah, man. I love it, dude. I appreciate you so much coming on. I know everyone got value out of this today, so I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having you on the podcast too in the near future. Oh, that's another thing. Everybody listen, ThriveAfterSports podcast. I just launched it. Hey, the quality sucks, but if you think that's going to stop me from putting out episodes, you thought wrong.
All right, guys. Let's carry this confidence throughout to the end of the week. Friday, we're bringing wins. I want to be able to pull some people on here and talk about what we're doing, what we were able to do this week, and kind of share our own wins and victories and struggles that we're going through and how we were able to overcome them. So looking forward to Friday. Again, Taj, thank you so much for being on here, and see you guys later. Have a great day.
You too, Matt. Thank you.